Story 1. You'd better tell the captain we have to land as soon as possible. This woman needs to get to a hospital. A hospital? What is that? A large building with patients, but that is not important right now. The movie Airplane remains a classic over 40 years later. Leslie Nielsen plays his role so straight-laced, it is brilliant. Story 2. Who is he? He's a major jerk, sir. I know that. What's his name? That is his name, sir. Major Jerk. Story 3. In Best in Show, when Parker Posey is arguing with her boyfriend while trying to find Busy Bee, he goes into the crate looking for it, and they are both yelling at each other. Story 4. Two of them. From Clerks. In a row. From Airplane, when Robert Stack rips off his sunglasses and there is another pair of sunglasses. This one makes me giggle every time. Story 5. Best in Show, when they introduce the wasp couple with the miserable dog. We met at Starbucks. Not the same Starbucks. I saw her through the Starbucks window across the street from another Starbucks. That whole interaction makes me laugh so much for some reason. Story 6. There's a million from Clue. But the let us in, let us in, let us out exchange kills me every single time. Story 7. From Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? When George Clooney realizes the chain is about to snatch him out the door of the train. Story 8. This famous scene from Airplane, 1980. Rumac, can you fly this plane and land it? Ted Stryker. Surely you cannot be serious. Rumac. I am serious, and do not call me Shirley. Story 9. So many scenes from Tom Hanks' bachelor party. Brad trying to slit his wrists with the electric shaver. Cole falling out the window and landing in the moonroof of the car while the couple kisses his ass. The hot dog scene. The Indian pimp. Jay saying, "To tell you the truth, I'm envious. I wish I had someone who was in my every thought. Somebody I could spend all my time with. Someone I could really respect. Hey, look at the cans on that bimbo." I could go on. Story 10. Son, you have a bandana on your head. That whole scene always makes me laugh. Edited to add title. Diaper theft or botched robbery. Raising Arizona. Story 11. When Chunk breaks the statue of David. You idiot. That is my mother's favorite piece. You would not be here if it was not. Shut up, mouth. Story 12. Tropic Thunder has two scenes. First, Robert Downey Jr. in blackface talks about the struggle of his people. Second, Tom Cruise performs the dance scene showing off his large forearms. I don't know why, but it is very funny to me. Story 13. Drop Dead Fred Until the Day I Die. Edit. The whole movie, but especially the scene where she is watching people play string instruments and sees Drop Dead Fred playing the violin. Story 14. The marijuana goes in the top drawer. The cocaine and amphetamines go in the second drawer. And the heroin goes in the bottom drawer. Always separate the drugs. Never go up there. It is filled with Mr. Walsh's sexual torture devices. If you do a bad job, you will be locked in here with the cockroaches for 2 weeks without food or water. Story 15. Bill Murray death scenes in Zombieland. I giggled throughout the death and funeral and felt guilty. Story 16. The scene in Me, Myself and Irene, when Charlie turns into Hank in the restaurant and asks the little boy, "What are you staring at? Do you want to start something? Just open the choke and pull the cord, pal. There is going to be an earthquake and you are dancing on the fault line." Cracks me up no matter how many times I have seen it. Story 17. Tom Cruise as Les Grossman. The balding, profane, ill-tempered studio executive producing Tropic Thunder. Story 18. In Elf, when Buddy gets hit by a taxi, it is perfect timing in what appears to be just an exterior establishing shot. Story 19. The scene in Young Frankenstein when Cloris Leachman, with immaculate comedic timing, says, "Yes, yes, say it. He was my boyfriend." Story 20. The scene in Billy Madison where he calls Steve Buscemi to apologize for bullying him in high school. After the call, Steve Buscemi crosses his name off his people to kill list, smears lipstick all over his face, and lays back on the couch. Story 21. The part in Little Miss Sunshine where the grandpa complains that every night it's the chicken. Story 22. This is Spinal Tap, rock and roll creation, the pod scene. By the time they bring out the blowtorch, I am always on the floor. Honorable mention to the Stonehenge scene. Story 23. There's something about Mary. The interrogation scene, the scene where the dog attacks Ben Stiller's character, the zipper scene. Such a funny movie. Story 24. Steve McCroskey. Johnny, what can you make out of this? Johnny, this? Why, I can make a hat or a brooch or a pterodactyl. Story 25. Any of the Heed scenes in So I Married an Axe Murderer. It's like an orange on a toothpick. He'll be crying himself to sleep tonight on his huge pillow. Story 26. It is 106 miles to Chicago. We have a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes, it is dark, and we are wearing sunglasses. Get it? There are so many great lines in this movie. Story 27. Tom Arnold bathroom scene from Austin Powers. Campfire scene in Blazing Saddles. I am seeing a trend here. Story 28. Ash forgets the magic words in Army of Darkness. Rhino scene in Ace Ventura 2. Will Ferrell shoots himself in the neck with tranquilizer dart in Old School. Story 29. The moment when Marty returns to 1955 and meets Dr. Emmett Brown after he just sent him back to the future. Iconic and hilarious scene. Story 30. Dumb and Dumber. Harry. She said she left me because I wasn't listening to her enough or something. I don't know, I wasn't paying attention. Story 31. The entire last 20 minutes of Ghostbusters. When someone asks you if you are a god, you say yes. The Marshmallow Man, in particular, will always leave you laughing uncontrollably. Story 32. The office scene in Freebie and the Bean with Alan Arkin, James Caan, and Alex Rocco is one of the most criminally unknown, subtle 5 minutes of genius ever filmed. Story 33. So many from The Fifth Element. The whole scene in his apartment when they come to recruit Corbin Dallas. Or the multiple pass scene. Or the ship taking off. Story 34. In Young Frankenstein, when Gene Wilder is having an argument with a student during his lecture, he stabs himself in the leg with a scalpel and calmly crosses his legs to hide it. It is hilarious. Story 35. You should pull that out. That is not cool. Wait, pull what out? The dart, man. You have a dart in your neck. You're crazy, man. Old School. Story 36. The scene from Idle Hands where Seth Green's character grabs the electric carver to cut off Devon Sawa's hand and says, "Look at me! Look at me! I'm Leatherface." Story 37. 22 Jump Street. When Jenko realizes Schmidt slept with the captain's daughter. Men in Black. When the bug arrives at the morgue. Simply sublime line delivery from Vincent D'Onofrio. A man came in here the other day. A dead man. He had an animal with him. A pet cat who means the world to me. I worked in a movie theater when this movie came out. We would sneak into the theater to watch this scene. I probably watched it about 100 times that summer. Story 38. I am going to save the panda. Goes off screen and then returns quickly. The panda is dead. Balls of Fury is so stupid. But that line always gets me. Story 39. The entire Stonehenge section from Spinal Tap. The conception, the performance with the dwarves, and the aftermath, where there was a Stonehenge monument on the stage that was in danger of being crushed by a dwarf. Just chef's kiss, perfect. Perfect. Story 40. Bridesmaids, the scene when the food poisoning is beginning to hit and everyone is sweaty and Kristen Wiig is pretending nothing is wrong because she chose the food. In Spy, when Melissa McCarthy is teasing the Swedish man, asking if he is going to cry, he pushes back. No. And no. The wimpy, trying to be strong and not cry way he responds makes me laugh. Story 41. This is going to be a strange one, but I laugh out loud every time I watch Justice League and Superman's eye moves to follow the Flash as he tries to run behind him. It is the funniest thing in the world to me. I was in tears the first time I saw it. Story 42. One of the last scenes in The Burbs. Rumsfeld. Art, your wife is home and your house is on fire. Art, my wife is home? Story 43. And the fact that you have replica written on the side of your guns? And the fact that I have Desert Eagle 0.50 written on mine. Story 44. And then, no, and then, from dude, where's my car? And also, I do not bite my thumb at you. Sir, from Romeo and Juliet always takes me out. I do not know why. Story 45. Del? Why did you kiss my ear? Huh? Why are you holding my hand? Where is your other hand? Between two pillows. Those are not pillows. Story 46. In Gladiator, when the child is running down the road thinking his father has come home, only to be seriously injured by a horse. I feel guilty. Story 47. Tranquilizer to the jugular from Old School. It is so stupid, but there is something about the pitch-shifted voices that just takes it to the next level. Story 48. So many to choose from. Sliding glass door scene in Ace Ventura. Fletcher buying the plane ticket. That does not mean I want her sitting next to me. Does it? So many. Story 49. Clerks 2. During the donkey show, Dante's fiancée walks in with the cake, and the man with the donkey doesn't even skip a beat and says, "Oh, cake." Cracks me up every single time. Story 50. The scene in Siblings where Bill Hader convinces his sister Kristen Wiig to sing a lip sync of "Nothing is going to stop us now." Story 51. The part in Clerks where he follows the customer outside and tells him, "Hey, you're not allowed to rent here anymore." And Jay is out there and goes, "Yeah." Story 52. Bruce Almighty. When Bruce, as God, takes over Steve Carell's character during a news broadcast and makes him say all kinds of gibberish, it still makes me laugh every time. Story 53. In Ace Ventura, when he is at the gala, he walks past the cellist and pulls their arm, causing them to play a sour note. Story 54. Strange Brew. Many scenes, but the one that sticks with me is the escalating frustration of the parking attendant who cannot catch a break. "Hey you, let me see your ticket." $6.50. All I have are 2 5s. Story 55. Land of the Lost when Will Ferrell mouths "F you" at Shaka. My kids watched that movie on repeat when they were little, and that part made me lose my mind every time. Story 56. Take me to the hospital. I am sick. As Ray throws the stretcher into the ambulance and flops onto it in the suburbs. Story 57. Beavis and Butthead movie. When someone's grammar gets corrected, something like, "He's the one who owns the RV they use." Story 58. Bridesmaids were having lunch in the strip mall. The bride experienced diarrhea and soiled the wedding dress she was trying on in the middle of the road. It was a hysterical situation. Story 59. Pineapple Express when Dale and Saul wake up in their car after sleeping in the woods. Wait, what do you mean the car is dead? Story 60. The Life of Brian. Stan wants to be a woman called Loretta. It is symbolic of his struggle against the Romans. It is symbolic of his struggle against reality. Story 61. Philip Seymour Hoffman clearing his throat while acting as the surrogate in Along Came Polly. Also, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in My Cousin Vinny. Story 62. I cannot repeat it word for word, but John Candy's speech when he is trying to console the mother in Home Alone is such a beautiful delivery. Story 63. The sewage scene from RV stars Robin Williams and is a hilarious movie to watch in the summertime. Excellent. Story 64. The squirrel in Christmas Vacation said, "You couldn't hear a dump truck if it drove through a nitroglycerin factory." Story 65. The other night I turned on Super Troopers for the 100th time, and I couldn't stop laughing during the opening scene. The kid losing his mind after eating all those drugs is just perfection. Story 66. There is something about Mary. Either the zip scene, yes I know, but it is funny, or the hair gel scene. Story 67. Trainwreck. When they are talking dirty and John Cena says those tight jeans make your rear look like a man, then immediately stops, saying, "Oh fudge ripple ice cream." Story 68. The scene in The Big Lebowski where John Goodman pulls a gun on a fellow bowler over a scoring dispute. Story 69. The scene in The Three Amigos where Lucky is standing on the wall and calling down to Ned and Dusty, making bird calls to get their attention. I laugh every time. Story 70. Not from a movie, but from The Simpsons. I believe it was a deleted scene from one of the Treehouse of Horror episodes. Basically, they hired Lionel Hutz in a trial against the devil over a donut that Homer ate. When Lionel was hired, he made a deal that if he couldn't win the case, he would give a free pizza. During the case, he ran away, and Marge ended up winning the case herself. Lionel comes back after the trial. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know it line for line exactly. Lionel. All right, Mrs. Simpson, I didn't win your case. Here is your free pizza. Hands pizza box to Marge. Marge, we won the case. Lionel. That's okay. The box is empty. My friends and I make variations of that joke and laugh about it even today. Story 71. Big Trouble in Little China. Pretty much the entire movie, but I will pick one. What will come out no more? Story 72. Joaquin Phoenix as Doc Spertello in Inherent Vice reacts with a barking, horrified spit take when a mother shows him a picture of what her young daughter looked like when she was addicted to heroin. Story 73. Clifford is with Martin Short when his uncle is yelling at him. His uncle tells him to act like a normal boy, and Clifford attempts to make a normal face. Story 74. Going for a less-known one, Noises Off. I have been in tears from laughing at some point during that movie every time I have seen it. Oh, and the scene from Throw Mama from the train where Danny DeVito hits Billy Crystal with a skillet. You lied to me. Story 75. Planes, trains, and automobiles where they are going the wrong way between the two semi-trucks and John Candy is dressed like the devil and laughing. Story 76. David Patrick. We stopped for ice cream. Winston. When did we get ice cream? It was unscripted. If you watch the people in the background, the camera quickly pans away because they can't hold it together. Absolute gold. Story 77. Oh, Master Robin. You have lost your arms in battle, but you grew some nice breasts. Robin Hood. Men in Tights has me mouthing along the entire time. Story 78. Benchwarmers when the guy throws a rock and the lawnmower launches it back, hitting him in the groin. I'm normally not the type to say ouch, but that one was great. Story 79. Evie said, and I'm going to kiss you, Mr. O'Connell. Rick replied, call me Rick. Rick leaned in closer. Evie passed out. Rick blew a kiss and said, moi, from The Mummy. Story 80. The Jumanji scene where the character of Kevin Hart finds out his weakness is cake along with strength. It always leaves me laughing on the floor, especially when he asks how strength can be his weakness. Story 81. The scene in Fun with Dick and Jane where Jim Carrey robs a house and uses a robotic voice changer. Story 82. Harpo and Chico Marx, the peanut and lemonade wagon scene in Duck Soup. Story 83. The frontline narration app bit in The Other Guys gets me every time, although that whole movie is excellent. Story 84. Either the drive-through scene or the tattoo reveal in Dude. Where's my car? Or Hear No Evil. See No Evil, the Fuzzy Wuzzy was a woman scene. Story 85. Any of the slap fights in Just Friends. Drool. Kurger. Story 86. Ben Affleck hitting his nose with the champagne cork in Pearl Harbor. After the whole build-up with the injections, his hand tapping the bottle off the top of the glass makes me laugh. Then the tears. Story 87. When Macaulay Culkin puts the tarantula on Daniel Stern's face, that is pretty much how we all would react. Story 88. The scene between Matty Ross and the horse trader in No Country for Old Men, Coen Brothers version. Alternatively, the bedroom scene between Matty Ross and LaBeouf. Story 89. Boondock Saints. Rocco accidentally spray paints his drug addict girlfriend's cat. One of the brothers says something like, "No way, that just happened." And Rocco, deadpan, replies, "Is it dead?" I have to pause every time or I'm still laughing during the deli scene, even when I know it's scripted. Story 90. Lots of good ones here. I will add The Money Pit as well. Tom Hanks, Shelley Long, and the rest of the cast did well. Story 91. Weekend at Bernie's. A flamboyant party guest asks Richard if he wants a drink. Larry says, "Yeah, I'll have some champagne, thanks." The perturbed guest walks off. A few minutes later, the guys have moved on. Out of nowhere, the guest annoyingly hands Larry champagne, says, Here, and leaves. Story 92. In The Big Lebowski, the main character nails a piece of wood to the floor in front of his front door to prop a chair against it in order to prevent intruders from entering. As soon as he finishes, he secures the door with the chair and begins to walk away. Immediately, the intruders enter because his front door opens outward, making his security effort ineffective. This scene gets me every time. Story 93. This tiny part in Beaches always cracks me up. The guy that auditions after Bette Midler. Such joy. Story 94. Not a movie but a series, most of Camelot is hilarious even after 100 watches. L'acteur de cerise. Story 95. The dinner scene in Dinner for Schmucks starts off funny and keeps ramping up. Octavia Spencer's channeling of her lobster's final moments is some of the funniest physical comedy I've seen. I'd love to know her process for getting to that spot. Barry and Thurman's mental brain war is hands down the best bully being overcome by the bullied scene. It's so stupid, but watching the power flip and Barry take over on offense really made me happy. Overall, a meh movie, but I will legitimately sit through the whole thing just to get the full emotional build-up to that scene. Story 96. Another You starring Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder. The restaurant scene. I don't like it when you call my friend a shithead, and if you do it again, I'll cut your fucking balls off. Which is something I happen to be very good at. Okay. Say okay. What? Now you can talk. Wilder's delivery gets me every time. Story 97. Airplane. The screaming woman and the man slapping her. He is pushed away but manages a sly slap as he leaves. Then we see a queue of people holding spanners and bats. Story 98. Opening of Lord of the Rings when Frodo and Gandalf meet. A wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to. Makes me smile. The world needs that. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.